even when a car is essentially perfect. If it's a car that's been around for a while, its model type has been around for a while, and then the automaker changes it, and those changes are new, its most ardent fans will have things to complain about. I, for example, am in the 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 GTS, and I'm happy to report that despite what the internet has you believe, this car fucking rips! Let's talk exterior changes first. Obviously, it's a 911. The changes are minimal, but there's a fairly big change up at the front of the nose of this thing. This is the 992.2 or .2 for that one idiot who complained when I said dot, even though everybody Porsche says dot. So, I don't know, eat shit. Those vents up in the nose actually look really cool in person. If you think they don't look good in pictures, fine. In person, I am here to tell you that they do look good. They direct airflow to the appropriate places to cool things off. And that's a good thing. Out back, there's a little bit of, it's just like minor tweaks, but the rear bumper exhaust outlets are an easy way to tell that this is a GTS right away with those two exhaust centrally located outlets on the back of this car, the way they're configured. This car also wears optional center locks, which I think are cool in theory, but I don't know how cool they would be in actual ownership practice. Like if you wanted to change anything yourself, you need a massive torque wrench or impact gun to be able to torque these down to the correct spec. Just normal multi-lug wheel seems like it's simpler, but the idea of center locks is cool. So if you own a car with center locks, sound off in the comments. Let me know what it's like living with a vehicle with center locks. I mean, you probably don't change your own shit anyway. So you slide into the cabin. Here's another potential point of contention or if the first point of contention that someone might have about this car. The twisty bit to turn it on is gone. Who gives a shit? It's just like that was just a thing you twisted anyway. It's not like we were using actual keys. It's just a button now for start stop. I don't understand why people are so upset about that one. That one to me is crazy. It's fine. It's still on the left side to help it stand out and be different. And you're doing your Le Mans starts on your way to work, and it'll be quicker if that's what you're doing anyway. But the rest of the cabin is nice. The seats are great. These come now standard with rear seat delete, and if you want to add the seats back in, it's a no-cost option. I would put the seat there because my daughter is still small enough to fit back there for now. She's getting large and tall, really, is what it is. But I can understand why you would go either direction on doing that. You know, if you didn't care about people and things in the back seat of this, yeah, don't need it, whatever. I have a bag back there, it fits just fine. But I like the idea of potentially shoving someone back there if I needed to. So I would put the seats in. Another point of contention, people are gonna be like, well, the analog tack is gone. This one, I pseudo agree with. I love a good analog tack. However, the display here is fine. It looks good. You can change it. You can adjust it to suit your needs. And then there's a mode too, if you're in like a track mode, it'll put it so that the rev limit, or red line rather, is at 12 o'clock. They should twist the dial, like the display, which was really cool. The numbers, which people do on their analog tacks in Porsches, it just kind of adjusts the spacing or it moves the font up or something like that. It doesn't actually twist the dial. But regardless, it looks good. This is finished in carmine red to match the Sport Chrono display up here, which, you know, costs extra, I'm sure, but we'll get into price later. But this gauge cluster looks good. The screen looks good. I like this little shift lever here. This one is the aluminum one, which I think is an optional extra, but it's a Porsche. It's comfortable. These seats are awesome. I love Porsche steering wheels. They're nice and thin. I like a thinner wheel. This one's got a bit of carbon fiber on it. You got your drive mode selector. As soon as I hop in the car, I immediately put into Sport Plus every single time. And then you've got 4 nice switches, or 5 actually, counting hazard lights. One for nose lift, one for exhaust, the hazard, traction control, always put it in sport mode right away, and then the dynamic control as well. But if you put it in Sport Plus, it handles two of the things I was gonna do anyway. Traction and sport, blah, 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 good to go. But let's get to the heart of it. I'm rushing through all of this because the real meat of what this car is its powertrain. This is the first ever 911 hybrid. And allow me to dispatch these corners real quick and tell you why. That's great, doesn't matter. Just crazy, crazy speed. And I love that this is still a GTS, which is actually what the crux of this video is going to be about. This has a GTS badge on the back. And any GTS badged Porsche has typically been my favorite Porsche. Yes, the GT3 is phenomenal, especially a big fan of the GT3 Touring, but in terms of just everyday balance, a GTS is essentially perfect. Does the hybrid ruin that? No. Spoiler alert. No. And it's not a hybrid that's like for fuel economy. This is a performance-minded hybrid machine. So we have the new 3.6 liter flat six out back. We have an 8-speed PDK gearbox, and then we have an electric motor that lives inside of that gearbox and a very small battery pack. So it's not like you're doing, there is no EV only driving in this, you know. There is no like pure EV driving range in this thing. It's performance benefits, and it does benefit, and it's only like 103 pounds of weight added to the car, which if you're a heftier person, you would negate that anyway. I'm not gonna weight shame here, but like 103 pounds added to this car, an owner could exceed that. Added on to the 103 pounds, whatever. So total combined power, everything working together, is 532 horsepower, 449 pound-feet of torque. This is the four-wheel drive one. There is a two-wheel drive one. 0 to 60 on this thing is like mid-twos. It is an absolute rocket ship off the line. It feels fantastic. I think it sounds good too. I think they're getting good noise out of this thing. Let's kick it down a gear and sounds great. And you get a lot of turbo noise out of the back too, which is really fun. You can really hear it. And it's an electronic turbocharger, so there's no lag. This thing just goes. It is crazy what this thing can do off the line, out of corners, all that stuff. And then in terms of the driving balance, guess what? It handles like a 911. I mean, the steering feel is fantastic. I've heard the rear-wheel drive one has slightly better steering wheel because the driven front axle just mutes that a little bit, and I can't compare, so I'm here to say this one drives wonderfully. The steering feel feels great. The brakes feel excellent. Throttle response, of course, is, as I've said, fantastic. I remember before I first reviewed 911s, I was always like, oh man, journalists talk those cars up way too much. There's no way they're that good. And then I started reviewing them, and I immediately became one of the same because they are that good. This car is fantastic. It feels like an extension of you out here on the road. I have so much confidence in curvy stuff. This also comes standard with rear axle steering, which is really nice at low speed stuff when you're maneuvering around parking lots, but you also feel it nicely on the performance side of it when you're navigating twisty canyon roads. It's just wonderful. It's just so good. I love this car, tremendously so. And I'm happy to report that the GTS is still the GTS, even though it's a hybrid. The 992.2 was going to be a hybrid from the beginning, according to Porsche. They just couldn't settle on how they wanted to hybridize it from the beginning, so they had to wait, and they applied it to the GTS. At some point, though, these are all going to be hybrids, but it's not going to ruin your experience. In fact, it makes it really great. Will it keep prices high on the old stuff? Sure, because there's going to be people who will rail against this, but they're still Porsches, so they're going to sell every single car they make, and they're always going to be expensive. This is no exception. I think the rear-wheel drive one of these starts in the 160s. This, the Carrera 4 GTS, starts in the 170s as tested. This is 206. You start throwing options at these like you do, and it gets crazy. With the GTS, you can get it in coupe, you can get it in convertible, and you can actually get the Targa. The Targa is the GTS now too, which is kind of nice. I would love a Targa, but that's even more expensive. But I'm not gonna complain about price like I do in most of my videos. Cars are crazy expensive. Porsche 911s are crazy expensive, but I mean, Porsche has priced it for the market that continues to buy these cars at an astonishing rate. So that it is what it is. But back to my central tenet, my core theme, my through line of this 911 GTS video. 911 GTS hybrid. Does the hybrid ruin it? Not in a fucking iota, a dash of anything. This car is awesome!